Huh? What? I instinctively slammed on the brakes, and the car screeched to a stop by the side of the road. Complaints immediately came from the back seat. Hey, slow down! I was gasping for air, feeling a wave of panic. But when I turned to look at the back seat, I was stunned. Zhao Ma and Mr. Chen were sitting there, clearly shaken by the sudden stop. What's wrong with you? You were driving so fast, and we kept calling you, but you didn't respond. Have you been driving too long and gotten tired? What's going on with you two? You didn't just fall asleep at the wheel, did you? We had set out early this morning from Mifan City, heading to Mifan Ancient Town for a trip. It would probably be a few more hours before we reached our destination. Driving all day to the ancient town, those words and phrases echoed in my mind. They felt strangely familiar, but only blurry images came to me. Seeing this, Zhao Ma seemed like he wanted to say something else, but just then a news report started playing on the car radio. Here's the latest update from our station. There's been a traffic accident on Wudao in the Mifan area. A vehicle apparently skidded and crashed through the wooden guardrail while turning, then fell off. Our station reminds everyone that roads are slippery during the rainy season. For your safety, please drive carefully. Why does the news sound so choppy? Is the signal here not very good? But Mifan, what's really going on with you? Driving while tired is really dangerous. Why don't we just pull over and take a break? Now that you mention it, I do feel pretty exhausted myself. Chuang sighed, turned off the engine, and the three of us, we pulled over for some fresh air and realized we were already in countryside. There were mountain roads nearby, and the night air felt uniquely refreshing. Standing in the breeze, my mind cleared. We were visiting the old town for fun. We'd planned to take the train, but my college friends Chen and Zhao Ma preferred driving for convenience. Plus, our last road trip was 2 years ago. I glanced at the road sign under the streetlight. This is the ABC National Highway. I couldn't shake the feeling that it seemed familiar, so I struck up a conversation with Mr. Chen next to me. Haven't we taken this road before? Wasn't it 2 years ago when we went to the beach? Back then, halfway there, Brother Zhao Ma had an upset stomach, but there aren't any bathrooms out in the wild, so we had to pull over by some bushes and let him take care of things himself. Isn't that right? Hey, where's Zhao Ma anyway? As I said this, I realized I hadn't seen where Zhao Ma had gone since we got out of the car a few minutes ago. Maybe he ran off into the bushes again to take a dump. Mr. Chen joked, but I couldn't shake a feeling in my heart. A faint sense of unease crept up in me, until the next second, hey, you guys come check this out. What is this thing? Zhao Ma's voice called out from the bushes, startling me. Instinctively, I felt a bit reluctant to respond to him, but Mr. Chen immediately answered and started walking deeper into the bushes. With no other choice, I followed along. We walked about 10 meters or so before we finally saw Zhao Ma. He had his back to us, bent over. Approaching, I saw he was studying a small house. With its temple-like carvings and statues, it looked more like a shrine weathered by years of wind and sun. It looked neglected and shabby, as if abandoned. Unlike me, Zhao Ma was fascinated by such relics. Ignoring my warnings, he snapped some photos, but he had only taken a few shots when he frowned and muttered, "That's odd. Why does this shrine look familiar? Are there shrines like this elsewhere? But the writing is unreadable, and I can't tell who it's for." I told him, "You shouldn't be taking pictures. Who knows what saint this is out here?" "What saint? Don't be superstitious. It's just an abandoned shrine," Mr. Chen said, giving the shrine a little kick, already fallen apart. The little shrine immediately collapsed to the ground. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Hey, how could it fall apart so easily? I just wanted to give it a little nudge, that's all. Let's get out of here," he said. "It's really kind of creepy out here this late at night." We kept our heads down and planned to leave, heading back to the roadside to keep driving. But strangely, even though it had only been about 10 steps from the road to here earlier, now we walked for several minutes and still couldn't get out of the thicket. Were we lost? That shouldn't be possible. It's just a short distance. But what if we really were lost? I wanted to call out to Zhao Ma and Mr. Chen, who were walking ahead, to stop for a second so we could figure out which way to go. But then I noticed something. Ever since just now, there had been a sound in my ears. At first I thought it was just the wind, but compared to the gusty, irregular sound of wind, this was much more rhythmic. It sounded more like breathing. I could even hear a sense of restlessness in that breath. What made me even more uneasy was that the breathing seemed to be coming from right behind me. Realizing this, I instinctively turned around, and in that moment, I got a real scare. I don't know when it started, but there was this figure behind me, thin, shriveled, and pale all over, looking just like an old man. He was so close, he was practically pressed up against my back. When I turned and our eyes met, I was so frightened I thought my heart would stop. I let out a shout and turned to call for Mr. Chen and Xiaoma, but that's when I realized they were nowhere to be seen. In this patch of trees, it was just me standing face to face with the old man. The old man didn't react at all to how startled I was. He just slowly lifted one of his extremely withered hands, pointed a finger toward a patch of bushes behind me, and then in a trembling voice muttered, "You can get out over there. Don't let them see you." Realizing we could actually communicate made me feel a lot better, but confusion quickly took over. "You said I can get out over there. Are you a local around here? And did you see where the two people who were walking with me just went? Also, who are the they you just mentioned?" "What do you mean?" The old man didn't answer my question. He just kept standing there, staring at me intently, still holding up that hand. He was so quiet that he seemed like a statue in the middle of those bushes, and it made me uneasy. I wanted to say something else, but just then, suddenly a scream rang out from the bushes behind the old man. It was Brother Xiaoma's voice. Instinctively, I shouted his name in that direction. Even though I didn't get a response, I realized that something bad must have happened to Xiaoma and the others, so I stopped paying attention to the old man in front of me and hurried deeper into the woods. But just as I passed by the old man, I'm not sure if I was imagining it, but I seemed to hear him mutter something under his breath. After trekking through the brush, I pushed aside some bushes and reached a clearing. To my horror, Xiao Ma and Mr. Chen were lying on the ground, convulsing in pain. Mr. Chen's legs were gone, and Xiao Ma rolled on the ground, clutching his face. His eyes were missing from their sockets. Surrounding them were several pitch-black creatures with thin limbs, grotesquely elongated. The two missing legs of Mr. Chen were being gnawed on by those creatures as they held him in their arms. One of them was even toying with Zhao Ma's eyeballs in its hands, wearing a smile on its face like nothing I'd ever seen before. They stared at Zhao Ma and Mr. Chen on the ground as if they were watching monkeys, clearly enjoying the sight of their suffering. To keep them screaming, they even did even more horrifying things to their bodies. I was petrified, frozen in place and not knowing what to do. It was at that moment that I locked eyes with one of those creatures' pitch-black eyes. Almost forgot one. I was nearly scared out of my mind by what I saw. Instinctively, I turned and ran, fear driving my body as I tore through the bushes without a second thought. Branches scratched my skin and I tripped over roots again and again, but I kept going until my breathing was so fast it felt like my heart was about to burst out of my chest. Suddenly, a blinding light flashed before me. It was my car. It was parked right in front of me. I had finally made it back to the road. Without thinking twice, I rushed to the car, turned the key, and the engine started up successfully. Instinctively, I glanced back at the bushes, my eyes wide open, almost tearing at the corners. Luckily, it was quiet and still in that darkness. Those terrifying things hadn't followed me. I couldn't make sense of what had just happened. All I could do now was get out of there and head to the nearest police station for help. I floored the gas pedal, and the car sped away from the edge of the woods, racing along the winding mountain road. I thought I'd just escaped disaster and finally let out a sigh of relief, but soon I realized what made my scalp tingle was that even though I'd already taken my foot off the gas, the car kept accelerating out of control. No matter how hard I slammed on the brakes, the speed didn't decrease at all. On top of that, the handbrake, the steering wheel, the gear shift, everything in the car had stopped responding. Even the doors were mysteriously locked. The only thing that still worked was the car radio, which suddenly started playing at the worst possible moment. We'll see a second change. Slippery road, mountain highway. Is it possible to learn on your own by the side of the road? And now for the latest news. In the Mifan area, there was a traffic accident on ABC National Highway. According to reports, a sedan apparently lost control due to slippery road conditions and, while taking a turn on the mountain highway, crashed through the roadside guardrail at extremely high speed. The car plunged straight down the mountain, and all 3 people in the car, the driver and 2 passengers, were confirmed dead at the scene of the accident. We remind everyone that roads are slippery during the rainy season. For your safety, please remember to drive carefully and cautiously. I was terrified. My mind went completely blank, and the car kept careening out of control along the mountain road. Soon, I saw it heading straight for the guardrail at a curve near the edge of a cliff up ahead. This was it. We were done for. I was just about to scream, and right at the moment before the crash, from the back seat of the car, I heard a voice from the back seat. "Mifan, slow down!"